What's going on, everybody? This is Raw Dog Sports. I am Mike. That is Evo, and you make me happy. That's about the only quote from that movie I think I could pull and get away with. So that's what we went with, my man. How you doing? Welcome in. We have got a great show. We got divisional football to talk about, and we got some coaching, hirings, interview processes going on. But my man, Evo, welcome in. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. How about you, Mike? It's a Saturday. We got football. Excited to talk about sports and excited that some of the pieces are starting to fall into place with this wild head coaching cycle.
Yeah, my team is actively interviewing Grant Udinski today. We'll talk about the coaching, hirings, firings, and all the searches that are going on around the league after we talk about a little bit of Saturday football that we got today. But, man, I'm very excited. I think I've targeted my new guy, and I think it's Grant. I think it's the guy that we're interviewing today. That's who I have kind of honed in on as being my number one target, especially with Harbaugh being off the table now. But, man, there's a lot of stuff to talk about, and I can't wait to get into it. But, man, we're coming off a banger week, and we owe it to the people to see if we can't, back that up. I'll go 6-0 last week. You 4-2. Over-unders have kind of been the bane of our existence. I'm interested to see if any of those come into play today, especially with the defenses that are being talked about. But my man, we ready to start diving into this thing a little bit?
Yeah, let's do it. And that's the interesting part is normally what you're picking before the show. I go very plumb when we're doing the picks as we go. Like I watch stuff and I get some ideas beforehand, but I don't necessarily know which way I'm going to roll until we get into each of the individual picks. So that way it's as up to date as possible. I got to say, last week you had a banger, went 6-0 with all of your picks. And like I said, it's easy for me to say after the fact, I agreed with all of them. I was there with you on all of them. I added in a couple over-unders and it just completely shit on what I was doing there. I mean, I still went 4-2, but it's going to be interesting to see how we go this week, because looking at the card for this weekend, the divisional round, even if I'm just picking pure money lines, I have a lot more of a difficult time with these because we're actually getting into some pretty damn good matchups. Hopefully we have a really good weekend of football. So I'll be interested to see if you have any over-unders in this one and where we're going to be going with these games. So we should just go ahead and jump right into the Saturday games. The games are going to be happening a little bit later this afternoon and evening.
I agree, man.
Starting off with our first one here, the Buffalo Bills going out to Denver, Mile High versus the Broncos. Broncos are the home favorite in this game, minus 1.5, over under of 45.5 points. With this sort of a spread, it goes to show that Vegas is pretty much making this a pick 'em. You could take the Bills on the money line for plus 100 odds, Broncos minus 118 odds. Obviously, the home team gets a little bit of favoritism there because it is more difficult to play on the road. You're playing up at altitude. But this Broncos team is a team that hasn't blown people out really traditionally through the entirety of the year. They also didn't have to do anything last week. They were able to sit and thumb ass. And that sometimes is good for teams that are used to being in that sort of position, i.e. the Chiefs. But this Broncos team with a young quarterback in Bo Nix, who isn't putting up gaudy numbers. We have our Bo Nix awards every week, it seems like, because, a little bit of a pejorative towards his play at times during the year. look, they're a stellar defense, but the offense doesn't go out there and just completely railroad anyone. And then you have this Bills team that is kind of beat up, kind of injured. They're getting guys back like an Ed Oliver, but then they drop a couple receivers last week. Are we going to be seeing more 12, 13 personnel from them? Are they going to be able to establish the run game, which has been so pivotal to them in this year against this vaunted defense from the Broncos? And is Josh Allen going to put on that Superman cape or not? It's a very difficult, interesting game, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how you think this one's going to roll.
Yeah, so there was a lot of stuff in there that I want to make sure that I hit on. The running game for the Bills is going to be incredibly crucial, but I don't think that is going to fall all on James Cook in this one. I think we're going to see a lot of Josh Allen. I know he's still beat up, right? Been beat up, but we're going to see him have to use his legs. We know that Josh is going to use his legs, even if he is beat up. I mean, he carried his team last week, but they were literally carrying his ass into the end zone. So getting that running game going against this Broncos team is going to be crucial, but that does not only have to be James Cook. So I expect that we'll see the use of Josh Allen's legs quite a bit still, even against the really good Broncos team. And listen, they're going to get pressure, which means Josh is going to be breaking the pocket as well. So I think that I don't know how many yards he's going to throw for because that secondary is really good. But I still think that he's going to find a way to get his team down the field. Now, when we talk about this Broncos offense, you brought up, the Bo Nix award. They have been so slow to start games. Now, obviously, as the season went on, they got better at that. But it still worries me because Bo Nix has shown at times to not kind of show up until the very end of games. If that happens against Josh Allen, that Broncos defense had better be spectacular. Otherwise, I think the Bills run away with this thing. Bo Nix has to be able to play at least as well as Josh Allen is doing against their defense. And I don't think that's going to happen, man. I'm going with the Bills, and I'm taking them on the money line because they're the underdogs in this. I can get them for even money odds. I think this is a pick'em game. Both of these teams are obviously good. That's why they're at this point in the season. Give me Josh Allen versus anybody else right now. And these are young quarterbacks in the NFL, right? That is not lost on me. Like, these guys don't necessarily have as much experience as a Josh Allen. So while Bo Nix was in the playoffs last year, it's nowhere near what Josh Allen has done and been through. So I'm going to take the experience there. Bills money line.
Hey, I like the thought process here, and I'm going to kind of add a little bit to that.
Okay.
Looking at Denver this year, and double check me here to make sure I'm not wrong. They have surpassed on offense over 30 points 4 times this year, I believe.
Hold on, let me pull up here. You said Denver?
Yep. 3.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
5, but that's preseason. 4. Yep.
So this Denver team, if this becomes any sort of a shootout, if Josh Allen does what Josh Allen does, and it's a very different scenario if you look at the Bills' schedule and see how many times they've put up 30 or more points. If Josh Allen starts to put up those sorts of gaudy numbers, if this Bills offense starts to put up gaudy numbers, I don't know that Denver is going to be able to keep pace with them. They're just not a team that does that. But this Denver team is coached by Sean Payton. There's been a lot of scuttlebutt and angst around him for sure, but this is a really good defense, an offense where they've had an extra week to prepare. You're coming into hostile territory. I like Buffalo to win this game. However, I'm going with the I love my wife pick. I'm taking the Denver Broncos on the money line at home. It has been a tough year for the Bills, specifically in the run game. The Broncos don't have like the most gaudy run game either. RJ Harvey is not a really between the tackles type of guy. They're going to have to get around the edge on this Bills team, not running up through the middle as much to get the rushing numbers. But that's been the susceptibility of the Bills, is that they have a weaker defense this year. Getting Ed Oliver back should be helpful, but he hasn't played in such a long time. I don't expect him to just jump in there and be his old self. In general, this defense for the Bills is susceptible. And then on offense, you drop a couple big pieces. Tyrell Shavers might not be the biggest receiver, but he's out there blocking his ass off every play. Gabe Davis wasn't a huge boon for this team, but he is still a big target. He knows how to play with this team in the playoffs, and he's out for the year with a messed up knee. So I think that the Bills are going to have to run a lot more heavy personnel to try to establish the run game, to try to protect Josh Allen, who is ailing in this one. And it might reduce some of their passing capability, but then again, it is Josh Allen. You expect him to get his yards one way or the other. But like I said, I'm going to go with the wife pick here. Love my wife. Denver Broncos on the money line. If it wasn't for that, I would be taking the Bills plus the money, I think.
Plus the points? Or at plus money?
I would be taking the Bills plus the points just to be safe, because I do think that this one could end up being close. My gut tells me this is going to be one of our normal Denver games this year, where it is 24-21, something like that at the end, very close, not super high scoring, and that it might be that Denver team eking out the win there at the end at home.
Yeah. I want to pop this comment back up. I appreciate you hopping in here. It looks like Squeegee is what I'm going to go with. A little Squeegee 6'7". Josh Allen actually has done it. What happens typically is Josh Allen does it, and then his defense lets it up right afterwards in less than 45 seconds in a couple of occasions. That is what has happened. It's not that Josh Allen is giving up these late touchdowns. Like, he gets down there and scores with less than a fucking minute. And a couple of times teams have kind of come through and burned that defense.
He has put the team on his shoulders, but it doesn't seem as crazy as previous years, because the offense just hasn't been as crazy as it has been in previous years. The receiving options have been down a little bit. It's been a lot more through the run game that they've had success this year. So it hasn't been those explosive, huge numbers, but it hasn't been Josh not putting that team on his back and kind of making that offense far exceed expectations based on the player personnel that they have. All right, so you're taking Buffalo on the money line. I'm going Denver on the money line. Our first pick of the day, our first disagreement of the day. And which year did he play in the Super Bowl? None. This is true.
It's very true. I don't.
He doesn't have the Chiefs, and he doesn't have the Ravens this year. This is supposed to be their year. So we'll see. It'll be interesting for sure. All right, next up, Mike. What's our last game here on Saturday?
All right, man. We have got the Seahawks taking on the 49ers. Seahawks at home, -7 favorites, over under 44.5. 7 points is a lot in a playoff game. We thought 8.5 was a lot last week when we talked about the Rams game. We get another big spread here, 7. We have seen the Seahawks beat the 49ers now twice on the season. Can they do it a third time? That's always harder. Beating a team 3 times in 1 year is incredibly hard. So, +7 points, is that screaming your name? Or are you going to just play with a team that you like here and go on the money line? Where are you at, Evo?
Look, the Seahawks are the odds-on favorite right now in Vegas to win the Super Bowl. Part of that is the benefit of them not having played last week, so we didn't get to see yet another week of play. We didn't get to see how Sam Darnold performs in the playoffs. That's been one of the huge concerns is he going to have a slump towards the end of the year and start seeing ghosts again? Is he going to crumble when he gets into the playoffs? He's kind of shaken that off a little bit because his not postseason, but his end of the year play, while we are seeing an increase in turnovers and a little bit higher variability in that, he has been winning games. I mean, they won 7 straight games to end off the year, including against the 49ers in week 18, where it was for the 1 seed. They beat the 49ers 13-3. Not a huge scoring game, but enough to get the win there. They've beat the Rams in, again, the best Thursday night football game that we've ever seen, 38-37. They were able to beat the Panthers, who kept it pretty damn close with that Rams team in the wild card round. They've had some really, really good outings towards the end of the year. The question still remains, is Sam Darnold going to kind of crumple under the pressure? Playing there in Seattle, I think, will be very helpful. For them having an extra week will be very helpful, but you brought it up. Winning against a team 3 times in a year, it's tough. It normally doesn't happen. This Seattle team is very good. They're scary. The defense is outstanding. And this 49ers team is very beat up. They just lost George Kittle. Now Tongi's has filled in that role very well, but this 49ers team, you're going to have guys out there like Trent Williams, who's not playing 100%, who's missed a lot of time this year because of injury. Your receiving core, you've barely seen Ricky Pearsall all year, and it's been okay when he's been out there towards the end of the year, but nothing super, super spectacular. I think that the Seahawks being, basically dropping 7 points here, it makes sense. I'm going with the Seahawks. I'm going on the money line. I like them to win this game. I also have them as my odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl this year. I have faith in Sam Darnold. There's a lot of stuff around the Vikings community right now. My community still being upset that we let Sam walk. I get the decision. I stand by the decision, but I loved what I saw from Sam Darnold last year, even though he did falter at the end of the year. I love the story behind it. So I'm riding with Sam. I'm wishing him the best this year. And so I'm going Seahawks on the money line.
Seahawks money line. So listen, I understand it. And I want to correct something, and I apologize. I said something incorrectly. The 49ers did win in week 1. I thought that they had lost 17-13. They won 17-13. So it's 1-1 on the season. The most recent being in the last week, and I think recency bias is probably what put this in my head a little bit. The last week of the season, the 49ers lose to the Seahawks 13-3. So they are 1-1 on the year. But listen, man, we have seen the Seahawks team be really good. I have doubted them on a couple of different occasions this year, to my own fault, to my own loss of money in my fucking sports book as well. I can't do it again. Listen, I like this 49ers team. They're good. They're very good. But Sam Darnold has been pretty damn good. Now, obviously, the injury concerns and everything, that's real. That's there. But this Seahawks defense was playing unbelievable. And now they're rested. I think that they're going to be a really tough unit to go up against. 49ers are also banged up, man. They've been banged up all year. Brock Purdy being back, Brock Purdy being healthy, being the leader that he is obviously huge. But I like the Seahawks more in this one. Not 7 points more, though. So I'm just going to go on the safe end here. And I'm going to take Seahawks on the money line as well.
Yeah. You bring up the injury. Sam Darnold shows up on the injury report late in the week here with an oblique injury. Listened to SiriusXM radio where they talked to him a little bit and just felt a little twinge in the oblique. Shut himself down in practice, went and got some rehab, says he has no doubt about playing. It was just a little strain. He's not super concerned about it. Obviously, it's something to watch. But for what it's worth, Sam Darnold has been pretty damn good about even playing through injuries and not really having it affect him too much. He's been a pretty sturdy quarterback, so that definitely helps. And the 49ers, the EMF story is blowing up quite a bit more. Something that we brought to you earlier this year, how their practice facility is right next to these giant radio towers and stuff like that, and are known to produce electronic waves or some shit. Stuff beyond our fucking knowledge for sure. But reports are now coming out that players are contacting their agents and being like, hey, what the hell? Is this true? I don't want to play or practice here. And it might actually kind of force the 49ers to look into, do we need to move our practice facility or at least the practice fields? For all I know, it's a real thing that it could potentially be damaging these guys' bodies. And And
I
if
know
it's
it's
just the
real.
mental, I would want for my mental sake, I wouldn't want to be out there every single day.
Were you ever a shadow guy? Did you ever
Oh
fly
yeah.
shadow?
Oh yeah.
Do you know about the towels, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, that thing put
It's
off so much radiation. That's why everybody who ever went through shadow has girls. It absolutely affects your body. The UAS.
It's a thing in our community where Mike and I come from in the military, that people in our community, it's not that they don't have kids, it's that they typically only have females, at a much higher clip. And it's completely anecdotal that there's any sort of a link or tie in between that. And I'm waiting to see the TV commercial for the lawyers or whatever saying, if you were ever an Army unmanned aircraft systems operator flying the Shadow, you deserve compensation if you had a daughter. So some bullshit like that. We'll see, man. But it's interesting that story is popping up quite a bit more, and I'm glad that we were able to have brought that here to you on Raw Dog Sports weeks and weeks in advance.
Hell yeah! Well, listen, man. When the fucking trees and everything are dying around the shit, you're like, I don't know if that's a good idea to be around that. It's not healthy. But whatever, man. I can't imagine that that's going to go well for them in like free agency in those conversations. Like, oh yeah, come on.
The agents are going to bring it up. The players are going to bring it up,
especially now with the amount of attention it's getting.
Yeah, and look, correlation is not causation, but this 49ers team, year in and year out, are just have an onslaught of injuries. It's kind of wild, and it's two pretty big name players. So, maybe there is a connection there, something to watch. And for the 49ers' sake, for Joe Rockstar's sake, I hope that they move to a different practice facility. It sounds like a win-win for everyone except for the owner, who's got to shell out some money.
Yeah, they're billionaires. I'm not upset about that. Move your money makers into an area where it's not going to negatively affect their long-term health, please.
Yeah, but speaking of off-season moves and things like that for teams, we have the coaching cycle going on right now. So before we get into our Sunday games, a little bit of an update there. We have a Harbaugh back in the NFL. Didn't take long. Now the ink is not on paper yet, but John Harbaugh sounds like he is signing with the New York Football Giants. They are currently finalizing some details there in New York, not having to do with money, it sounds like, in particular, just language in the contract, which is fine. They're in no rush if they know they got him. And I'm sure it'll all be hammered out and figured out. But a huge get for the New York Football Giants, huge get for Giants fans out there. And for guys like Jackson Dart, Cam Scadaboo, Malik Neighbors, that entire defense, they have to be feeling really good knowing that, hey, we got basically the biggest fish in the pond to come in and be the coach of our team. That means that he sees a vision for this team. He likes what the pieces are that are already there. And for 8 other franchises that were looking for a head coach, it's a little bit of a bummer, but it allows them to also refocus and hone their efforts on the other coaches that are out there and available for their coaching searches.
Yeah, obviously Harbaugh was the big name after he was let go. I mean, they're Tomlin, and there was conversations of, is he going to coach? Would you have to trade for him? And it sounds like those are all things that are not happening. He's not coaching, and you would have to trade for him. Mm-hmm. So Harbaugh is easily the biggest name available. Probably after that is McDaniels and Stefanski. So him coming off the board really narrows options for, I think, teams that are looking for guys with head coaching experience that they think can maybe come in and transform their franchise. There are some young guys, though, that are in this coaching cycle that I think are very exciting that could possibly transform a franchise as well. A guy that we're interviewing today in Grant Udinski. Now, I didn't know a lot about Grant. And then I started hearing a little bit. You tagged me in a video, listened to him talk.
Yeah, I talked to you about him a week or two ago as a guy. Hey, this is a guy that hasn't been talked about much, but I think that he's someone that you should be interested in. Old Grant.
Yeah, and then I go back and I look at where he's been, his stops, and the things that he's done and who he's worked with. So he's in Jacksonville now and has helped Trevor Lawrence turn into the idea of what we all thought Trevor Lawrence could be and should be when he got to the NFL. Like, it looks great. Worked with KOC and Darnold during that entire time too. Like, so he's had experience working with quarterbacks who were maybe not great and then grew into something better. And a small sample size. He's only been coaching the NFL for 6 years, right? But as the
Since
Cleveland Browns,
2020,
so Cleveland Browns organization, who can't figure out a coach and a quarterback, maybe a young, innovative head coach that has shown that he can get the best out of some quality quarterbacks would be a really good fucking guy to bring in. So I'm all in on Udinski. Now there's some other guys in like Nate, is it Shieldhouse? How you pronounce it?
I don't know how you pronounce it, but yeah, the pass coordinator for
the Rams. That's also okay with me. That also kind of excites me because there is a snow squall coming from my house. If you lose me, it's because I lost power.
Alrighty.
But coming from that McVay tree, pass game coordinator, I think that could also be really exciting. Now, that's a guy that I could also see maybe hiring as an offensive coordinator, depending on, who gets hired as the head coach, because we're in our second interview as well with Jim Schwartz. So I'd like some of these young guys, some of these young names are starting to intrigue me. But, huge name right off the top in Harbaugh being gone. So who is the next domino to fall in your mind? Is it one of these younger guys, or are we going to see some of these established coaches get pulled off and then maybe they have to go to a job that's less desirable?
I don't know. It's tough. I think that, probably the next biggest name out there is Stefanski right now, just because Tomlin had all reports are saying that he's not intending on coaching this year. Right. And obviously the trade compensation required to get him is going to be a little prohibitive for some of these teams at this point. I think a team will want to, have a better idea of their situation, and next year would maybe be considering that. That's neither here nor there. Stefanski is probably one of those biggest names that's left, and he's been interviewing with kind of everybody out there for possible positions. And he feels like the safer play. Two-time coach of the year. He's been in the league for a long time, not just as a head coach, but as a coordinator and all sorts of positions below. A big part of the hiring cycle is when these guys are interviewed, they go in with these gigantic binders.
Oh, yeah.
This is my system. This is my plan for your team. This is who I can bring in as my coordinator. For a guy like a Grant Udinski, he has only been in the NFL since 2020, and he has very rapidly ascended from going as a Carolina Panthers coaching assistant to the Vikings assistant head coach in his first year with the Vikings in 2022 and working on special projects, assistant quarterbacks coach, assistant offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, straight up to being the offensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars this year. And obviously we're seeing this huge offensive bump, and there's going to be questions as to how much of that is coming from Liam Cohen, how much of that is Grant Udinski. But when the players on the team are saying this guy is super smart, really good. I've watched some of the videos of him talking in press conferences where he is getting very technical breakdowns. He looks like he could be a head coach. He carries that sort of air around him where there's been question marks about other guys, specifically like Clint Kubiak, whether or not he carries that same head coaching kind of aura, that leadership aura or not. It brings into question, whether or not a guy is going to be able to fit in that role. Grant Udinski's 30 years old. He is a very young guy. I don't know how big his Rolodex is for this is who I could bring in as my OC, my DC, my special teams coordinator. This is what's going to give us a boost. This is who's going to help me. Because if he goes into one of these spots, he for sure has to bring in someone on the defensive side or someone in his coaching staff that probably has head coaching experience that can help him in this situation. But if you are looking to strike for one of these young guys like the Rams did with McVay, They took him at a very young age. The guy's not even 40 yet, and it feels like he's been with the Rams for 2 decades already. But he is the prototype of what a team is looking for to bring in and lead their team going forward. I think Udinski has that potential because you've seen how quickly he's ascended, how valuable he's been to teams. There's been reports coming out of Vikings camp that they wish that they had offered him anything he wanted to not leave for Jacksonville this year because of how important he was to their team. So I think that he would be a very interesting get. I would, for your Browns, still, I think, lean. Excuse me.
Bless you.
I would still lean a little bit more towards wanting someone with a veteran experience because your team definitely needs that leadership. That's where I think Stefanski kind of lacked, and part of that was ownership walking all over him, maybe the front office walking all over him and not allowing him to take that onus and leadership, and that could still be an issue with Udinski. He's not going to go in there swinging a big stick and saying, I don't care what you guys say. I am the head coach of this team. You hired me to do this job. You need that kind of type A coach that is going to put their foot down with stuff. I don't know if he carries that sort of clout yet, especially at 30 years old with a limited time in the NFL. So I think I would lean a little bit more towards a guy who's got some more experience for your situation. That being said, I think that he would be fantastic for your offense. The questions then would come down to who could you have there as a DC? I don't know that you're maintaining your current DC as the defensive coordinator going forward, especially since he's gotten a couple interviews there. That would kind of be the scary part with that. But I don't know where the next head coach is going to fall. I would assume it's going to be Stefanski. And I think the Ravens are going to be the team that is looking for that next big hire. Ashula makes a lot of sense to me there. Minter makes a lot of sense to me there, and Stefanski as well. And Mike looks like he's been frozen for a minute now. So maybe this snowstorm. I see producer Amber in the background. She's still here. But Mike might not be with us anymore. Rest in peace, sleeveless Mike. And there he goes. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's just me here today on Raw Dog Sports now. I swear we're going to get him back. No worries. But as far as other head coaching hires and information about that, the other big name that I don't want to talk about because I don't want him to leave is my guy, Brian Flores. Brian Flores has taken a defensive coordinator interview with the Washington Commanders. Why does this matter? It's because there's something else going on in the Minnesota Vikings organization right now, which really hasn't been publicized too much. It's been talked about a little bit, but the reporters who have said anything about it have said we aren't willing to discuss what the issue is, other than the fact that it's not SA and it's not money. The fact that he's going to realistically a worse situation to look at a defensive coordinator job in the Washington Commanders, that's worrisome to me. I get the head coaching stuff. He's had a head coaching interview with the Ravens, and he's now had the coordinator interview with the Commanders. I haven't heard anything yet. Oh, there he is.
Hi, guys. So I got to get my computer back up downstairs. I'll be right back with you. Evo, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll see you guys soon.
See you soon. The one that I'm really waiting on hearing for is the Raiders. We haven't heard a ton of news out of Raiders camp as far as who they're interviewing. But again, I think that he's just like the perfect fit for that situation. That team that kind of says, fuck the shield. They don't care if he has open lawsuits against the league. They don't care if they deflate footballs. Their ownership really doesn't care. And he brings that kind of moxie, that aggression that the Raiders are known for and they want to get back to. And I think that he would have his pick of several good offensive coordinators to complement him there, whether it be Cliff Kingsbury, Mike McDaniels, or Brian Daboll. Any of those guys would fit for their future quarterback, who is inevitably going to be Fernando Mendoza. Either way, I am super concerned about Brian Flores leaving. If I had to put a percentage on him not being on the Vikings this year, I would probably be at 60 to 70% right now, which is a concern for me because Look, the Vikings did rattle off 5 wins at the end of the year, but that was defense. That's a defensive stat because the offense wasn't doing it. So yes, producer ever, I would put it at somewhere between 60 to 70%. I'm worried about him leaving. Obviously, if he goes, it sucks right now for the Vikings because we haven't made any coaching changes, any front office changes other than Mike Pettin retiring, leaving that assistant head coach spot open for Brian Flores if he comes back. I would think that, if we were to bring someone from outside the organization in to be our defensive coordinator, Gannon, who was let go from Arizona, makes a lot of sense because they had interviewed him before. I'm not super hyped over him, but then a Raheem Morris. Raheem Morris, obviously, good defensive coach, really good defensive coordinator. Worked with Kevin O'Connell in LA, and so that seems like bringing another head coach guy who can you can set it, forget it with the defense. I think that he'll handle things. I just don't know that we'll have the same sort of aggression or uplift of lower quality players as we did with Brian Flores. So we would really need to see the offense make that huge boost like they've had in previous years in order to make it worthwhile.
Hello.
Welcome back, Mike. So as I've been stalling for time here, obviously spoke a little bit about the other head coaching options there where I think Stefanski is probably the biggest get. The Ravens are probably the next big shoe to fall here. And then my concerns with Brian Flores' situation in Minnesota, how he's taken a DC interview with the Washington Commanders. He's interviewed with the Ravens for their head coaching position, and that we haven't heard anything yet out of Vegas, but that I still think that the best fit for him would be there with the Vegas Raiders. And that my personal feeling as far as him not being with my Vikings next year probably lies somewhere in the 60 to 70% range.
All right. So the next biggest job, I feel like it's got to be the Ravens. I agree, man. Like, you have Lamar Jackson. They should be able to hire anybody they fucking want. And we've talked about it in the past, right? Like, this cycle, we don't have a lot of college coaches that are in the cards. There's only one guy that I think anybody would be even fucking remotely interested in, and he's playing a big-ass game on Monday night, and Kurt Signetti.
There's Freeman, but obviously he said he's not planning on leaving.
Yeah, honestly, are one of those jobs in the NFL? Well, the Ravens job is probably good enough, but to leave Notre Dame, that's one of the best. That's one of the best fucking jobs ever in terms of being a football coach. I mean, Notre Dame is right up there. So it would be. I mean, it would take a lot, I think, to get him out of there. I don't know, man.
Miami, Baltimore, the Raiders.
Miami is a terrible job, though. Miami's a terrible job.
Unless you want to go have fun.
I guess.
Want to be on the beach. And the ownership's probably going to throw a lot of money at you, but realistically, I think people glaze that over too much for the job that it is because the roster is not great. Your quarterback situation completely up in the air. The ownership group has been known to be a little bit sideways and shady with things in previous head coaches. I agree. It's not the best job, but from the media side, it looks like it's fun.
Yeah.
But
the Cardinals are in that same boat. Cardinals and Miami are both in terrible quarterback situations with crazy contracts. So who is signing up to go down there? It doesn't scream that there's going to be a lot of these big time coaches. They're going to be like, yeah, I want to go. I mean, is Grant Udinski going to hitch his first coaching opportunity to a Tua Tagovailoa or a fucking Kyler Murray? The way he talks, he says he doesn't seem like he's that stupid. He seems like a very intelligent human being who wouldn't do that. So it's got to be the Ravens' job. That's probably the most next desirable. The Giants, obviously, with the draft they just had and Jackson Dart looking like he could be the real deal. I get it. but it's got to be the Ravens next. And then that will leave my Browns. Because why do you want to go to Atlanta? Well, yes, the Steelers.
But the thing is, the Steelers are
it's a whole
team.
Different process.
That you've got issues on offense, big time. You've got issues on defense, and the biggest thing is, that if you go to Pittsburgh, they're with you for the long haul. That's the benefit of Pittsburgh. The ownership doesn't like to move off of guys. Your leash is huge if you go to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's true. It's very, very true. All right, brother. We got any other storylines we want to talk about? And we talked about the coaches. It's got a little bit of college football in there. By the way, who you got on Monday night, man?
Indiana.
Yeah. And one of the most crazy stories ever that Indiana goes from where they were a couple years ago to on the cusp of dominating college football.
Yeah. I think Indiana has just played better all around. I'm not a true Carson Beck believer at this point, even though, props to him. He's done great things at Georgia, great things this year with Miami, but I can't get the Ice Age sloth dude out of my head. I don't know. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Indiana is and what they do going forward without a Mendoza, though.
Yeah, well, I would imagine that Cignetti is going to be able to bring people in. He goes 2 years and turns around Indiana into a national champion. I would imagine he's going to be able to recruit. And by the way, his name is Sid. Producer Amber wanted to let you know that is the name of the sloth. Yeah. She's big fan of the Ice Age movies. That whole group upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
God, I think Indiana wins it as well. That'll make 3 years in a row that a different team from the Big Ten has won a national championship. Stuck at SEC. This is what happens when everybody can pay players.
Yeah. And look, a lot of big names to watch if you are a fan of the NFL draft and players that are going to be coming out. You got Elijah Surratt, wide receiver for Indiana. Coogan at center. He's going to be a big name to kind of watch. For Miami, you've got great defensive players all over. Keontae Scott, Akeem Leather Helmet Mesidor, who's going to be like 25, 26 years old when he goes into the draft, who I think he's almost a better defensive end than the guy who's going to be going higher in the first round, Ruben Bain Jr., who's also very explosive, just got some shorter arms to him. And then, an offensive tackle that I know that we've talked about, Francis Mauigoa, who you think might be a good addition to your NFL football team. It's well worth the watch. If you aren't a huge college football person, watch the game. Pay attention to some of these names that are performing because they're about to be in the league next year. Yeah, a lot of these guys are going to the league. Some of these guys we're going to see down at the Senior Bowl where we'll be at the end of this month. We'll be down in Mobile checking that out. Hopefully giving you guys a ton of cool shit to go and check out and watch. Hopefully some interviews and reports coming from there as well on guys that we like and things that we're seeing from that week of practices, man. I'm very, very excited. But big news also coming out of college football kind of relates to the draft and all those things. Dante Moore going back to college. I was kind of the mindset that was the right decision. He can get paid by Oregon all sorts of Nike money on NIL, and he needs to progress in his development. Like, good player. Don't get me wrong. Like, looks like he could be legit at the next level, but he still needs some seasoning. Like, he needs some more time. Yeah, very few starts in college football. Obviously, that game versus Indiana, you saw some of the issues where he needs maturation, not an actual maturity issue, but like maturation in that level of football and to take some strides. So he'll be an interesting name to watch going forward, obviously, and someone who I thought had a very high ceiling if he did go in the draft this year. But also, can you blame him? You have a bad game like that, and then you're staring down the barrel of the New York Jets next year. That's a fucking scary proposition. And I would absolutely say, do I go play for the New York Jets and probably have a bad experience, or do I go back and play college football for millions and millions of dollars on a good program? It's not a fucking tough call at all. NIL is going to change the way
the NFL looks. I mean, obviously, it's changed the way college football looks. Fucking transfer portal's going crazy right now. But
and maybe a little tiny bit of quarterback controversy there in Eugene because Dylan Raiola has transferred there and is expected to be the backup.
We'll see how that works out. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, obviously. But look, we've already gone over our Saturday games, the games that we're going to be seeing later today. But we do still have 2 more games in the divisional round to go over that'll be taking place on Sunday. Are you ready to rip into these, Mike?
I am. I got a little crazy this week, man. I feel like I've taken I took a lot of dogs, and I'm very comfortable with it. I feel like it's the right move. I'm playing the quarterback odds here, but I am ready to hop in to this. Go ahead.
You're taking the dogs. That's very fitting with the show. Raw Dog Sports is perfect, where we bring you all of this Rawthenticity, our real raw takes, the things that people maybe don't want to hear, don't want to say. I know for sure if you look at our comments on YouTube and TikTok and whatnot, people definitely don't like it when we aren't homers for their team and not taking their players and whatnot, because apparently we don't know ball. But look, if you think that we don't know ball, let us know. Comment. We're okay with that. We'll probably respond and let you know, hey, maybe you're right, or maybe we think you're dumb. We don't know, but we really appreciate everyone who's supporting us, giving us those comments. If you could take a moment and just like, share, and subscribe to our channels on YouTube, on TikTok, Facebook, X, wherever, because we like to have that interaction. We want to be accessible to the people who are watching our show. Obviously, you've seen us early in the show. We're throwing up comments from people. We're not even sure who you are, but we are super thankful that you're here watching us and interacting with us. And so that's kind of one of our main goals is we want to not only give you our Rawthenticity, our raw self, but we want to be able to interact with you, the fans, and give you an outlet to talk about your teams and give your thoughts. So with that, we're going to jump into this first game.
Can I add one thing in there real quick?
Yeah, because absolutely.
Guys, listen, and we don't mind the abuse comments. Like, come at us. We're totally good with it. But don't get mad when we come back, because that's what this show is for. We're here to have a good fucking time. I don't think either one of us has ever claimed to be an expert. No. We spend a lot of time doing this, so we like it and we care about it, but we are not fucking ESPN. We are not going to come and just be like, oh, okay, whatever you say, but we're going to be dicks back. Well, because that's kind of the entire environment that we grew up in the military.
Yeah, we're veterans. We're veterans. Shit talk is our love language, and you're not going to hurt our feelings. So if your feelings get hurt, that's just part of the game, baby. That's just part of the game.
Yep. Sucks to suck, nerd. Now let's hit these motherfucking Sunday games.
Yeah. All right. So our first one up, Houston Texans with that insane fucking defense are going out to New England, playing in Foxborough versus the Patriots. Patriots are favored at home, -3 points, over under of 40.5 in this one. Look, we saw good things from that Patriots team last week, but we saw a lot of good things from this Houston Texans team, specifically on defense. The defense is legit. I feel like if they get over this hump of playing in New England, the Texans will be playing either the Bills or the Broncos, both teams that their defense can match up against. If the Texans are able to get a win here riding on the shoulders of this defense, they could be a Super Bowl caliber team simply based off of one side of the ball. We did see the warts of this Houston Texans team last week as well, though, because typically when you have as many turnovers as the Texans did, that's not a winning formula. And they can't go into this game versus the Patriots with those same sorts of warts. They need to clean that up very quickly. Do you think that the Texans can do that? Do you think that the defense has enough juice in order to go up against this Patriots team? Or do you think Mike Vrabel is going to have his guys ready to go again? Do you think that this Patriots offensive line that has performed admirably, but they're still not great, do you think they're going to be able to hold up against Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson, this vaunted defense from the Texans?
Yes, no. I think the Texans can win this game. That defense is incredible. Maye is also incredible. Had an incredible year. Patriots fans are going to hear this when Amber clips it, and they're going to be like, this guy doesn't know shit. He's talking shit. No, Drake Maye is awesome. The Patriots had an awesome year. But we have also seen the Patriots be up on teams like the Bills and piss it away. This Texans defense, if they get up on you, they will eviscerate you with their defense. If they can pin their ears back at any point, you are fucked. You have to play from a lead the entire time, essentially, when you play this Texans team, because that defense is so goddamn good. Can Drake Maye do enough to get his team out in front and stay out in front? I don't know. I expect this to be an incredibly good, close, fun fucking game, which is why I'm taking the Texans plus the points. I don't like it, the fact that it's 3 points, because that gives the option for a push. But in the playoffs, give me the defense. That defenses keeping things lower scoring. I like that. Give me the points. Texans plus 3. Over under 40.5. Very low scoring kind of expected here as well, which also leads me to Texans plus the points. So that's where I'm going, brother.
Look, the Houston Texans have won their last 10 games in a row, including postseason. And a big stretch of that was with Davis Mills at quarterback. Now, shout out to Davis Mills and his long ass neck. He has done a very admirable job. He's probably one of the highest end backups with his play that he's shown this year and previous years. One of the highest end backups in the league, and a guy who probably could compete for a lower end starting job in the NFL. But he's not CJ Stroud, and also he's not a everyday starting NFL quarterback. This is, I brought up with my Vikings about us winning. This is while you were gone, but I brought up my Vikings. We won 5 games at the end of the year. We won 5 straight, and that was purely a defensive stat. A lot of these wins out of the 10 wins that they've had straight are a defensive stat because of how good that defense has been there for Houston. One thing that travels better into colder environments is a good defense. I do think this game's going to be really close. And so you taking the Texans plus the points there makes a lot of sense to me. I'm going New England on the money line. I'm going with my gut, riding with Vrabel and Drake Maye and what they've been able to do this year. A good game last week from Ramondre Stevenson, a good outing from this team. I think that Houston, it is odd that they're kind of not favored in this one, or that the line isn't even closer, because we've talked about it a lot with New England. They had an easier schedule. They've well surpassed expectations this year. But I kind of like the story, man. And it's a complete plum pick here that New England at home will have the juice in order to win this game. So I'm going New England on the money line.
Man, I understand that they're a good fucking team. And how are they going to generate a bunch of offense? They're going to have to be able to run the ball, right? Because if you think about the outside and Stingley, and is Kayshon Boutte going to be the guy that really goes out there and balls out? It's just the matchups are so tough.
Williams, Stephon Diggs, Hunter Henry, those are your options.
Yeah, but the matchups are not great against that Houston defense, man.
No. That's kind of the beauty, is that New England doesn't have like the one huge alpha guy. You could say it's Stephon Diggs, but they don't have that guy. So it makes it a little bit less predictable. New England can just take whatever is being given to them. Not that they're going to be given a lot, and not that Drake Maye is going to have a lot of time to dissect, but it's going to require Josh McDaniels, who is a very veteran play caller, to set up easier options for Drake Maye. Expect a lot of a quicker pass game and being reliant on that run game and trying to get that going very quick.
Play actions, boots, get Drake out on the edge, try to get him moving so they can't just pin their ears back. All right, man. That's going to be a fun game. That might be the funnest game of the weekend, but we got one more. We got the Rams heading into Chicago. Chicago is the home playoff dog. Minus 3.5 points for the Rams, over under of 48.5. we have seen the Rams be susceptible. We have seen the Bears be spectacular late. This is kind of like styles make fights. The Rams are very good, but we've seen them kind of get clipped. Could we see another late game heroic win by Caleb Williams getting his team to the NFC Championship game, in which would be a huge swing from where they were in his year 1 to year 2 with a first-year head coach? Where are you going?
So fans of the LA Rams probably aren't going to like to hear this a little bit as much, but especially fans of Shula, or if you are looking for a defensive coordinator style head coach and you like Shula a lot, Shula's done great things with this team. They don't have extreme talent on that side of the ball on defense, but he's also been someone that's kind of uplifted them a little bit. But towards the end of the year, their defense has fallen off some, and I feel like offensively teams have figured out what they can do in order to kind of combat that a little bit. They've been giving up over 20 points, and in many cases over 30 points a lot through the last like 6-7 weeks of the season. So that defense is susceptible. The other thing is that the Bears defense is absolutely susceptible, especially in the pass game. They're very opportunistic with their turnovers, which has made them look a lot better. But we were also looking at guys like Andrew Billings and things like that not playing in the middle of this Bears defense. I believe it's TJ Edwards is going to be out in this game at linebacker. So the defense is going to be alien a little bit more for the Bears, which is going to lead towards that Rams offense being able to produce a little bit more. And they've been able to produce all year. The question is, can an LA team go out to Chicago in really cold weather? Matt Stafford already talking about he's wearing the wetsuit going out there, because right now reports are that it's going to be in the 20s, the low 20s, but I've seen in the 10s and teens for the temperature as well in this game. And that's a thing. Your blood gets a little bit thinner when you win or live in warm weather, and it's tougher to play in some of these games. Whereas Ben Johnson has his guys out there practicing in the snow right now, has been reported this week. So I think that this is going to be a offensive type of game. We're looking at an over-under of 48.5, and I do expect it to kind of encroach that number or higher possibly. And it's going to be who has more juice in the end. The team that's had more juice in the end all year has been the Bears, some way, somehow. Soldier Field doesn't get talked about enough as being such a hostile environment to play in, and it really is. These Bears fans are going to be going crazy out there. I'm taking the Bears plus the points here. I think that the Rams absolutely have the opportunity to take advantage of this Bears defense. I think we're going to see a lot of Puka Nacua, who has been obviously a huge pivotal part of that passing game. And it's not that I dislike the Rams and their offense. I think that they're going to put up a lot of points, but there's some sort of magic that's been going on with the Bears and what Ben Johnson has been able to do with this team and making this offense work, especially late in games, to be able to, come back on this Packers team where the Packers seemed like they kind of had them completely in the first half, and that team didn't quit. They just kept coming. I think that they're going to be ready to go out there and have a bit of a shootout. This is the game that I feel the worst about as far as who's going to actually be able to win here, because it's anyone's game. I think it's going to become one of these shootouts. And if I have to go with a shootout team of who's got more offensive firepower and history of being able to utilize that is the Rams. It is the Rams. But I'm going to go with the Bears plus the points here. I don't know that the Bears win it, but if they keep it close, then I'm all right with this pick. I don't like rooting for NFC North teams, and I would like to see the Bears kind of be done and falter here, so that way we can move on with that. But I think I'm leaning towards the Bears here plus the 3.5.
My man, I am going with Bears plus 3.5, and you brought up a lot of the things that I was going to bring up. The fact that the Rams are an indoor team traveling to Chicago in fucking January when the weather is as shitty as it is plays a factor. Ben Johnson's not stupid. He has his guys outside practicing. Caleb Williams has been incredible late in games, and the Bears don't quit. Even if they get down, they have this belief that they have enough offensive firepower to get back in this thing. And if their defense can get a stop or a fucking turnover, and they've been one of the best in the NFL at it, I mean, they're right there. 3.5 is amazing. I wish I got this for the Texans. It would have been a fucking slam dunk. I didn't get the hook. 3.5, there's no doubt I'm taking the Bears plus 3.5. I think we see a lot of on the ground, a lot of Kyle Monungai, DeAndre Swift. Caleb Williams will do what he needs to do. And you said it as well, man. The Rams have been giving up more points later in the year. We have seen them get got. They almost gave it away to Bryce Young and the Panthers. So Caleb Williams is definitely, I think, capable of snatching a victory, but at the very least keeping this thing within 3 points.
Yeah, look, Caleb Williams is going to leave it all on the field, including that mouth guard. We'll be watching for it.
Yeah,
so
I see that it's back, by the way.
Absolutely. You know, it's got to go away when I need to be a little bit more professional, but when I don't need to be as professional, Caleb Williams mouth guard will be there. Maybe I got to get a fun little nail polish up there as well for him or something like that. But yeah, man, that's our divisional round and where we're going with our bets and our picks for this week. But we have a really good pupper who also has a big bet for the week. Another 4-legger from Blitz this week. We'll add Mike back in there since he had left earlier. All right, it's Blitz's big bet in the divisional parlay, a 4-legger here. Go ahead, Mike. Talk to us about this 4-leg parlay and how it gets us to 927 odds.
Well, man, Josh Allen, we talked about him obviously a lot today, but 254 pass and rush yards seems like comically low for Josh Allen. Now he's going against a really good Denver Broncos defense, but we know he's going to run. We know we can throw. 250 seems like it is a layup. Now you're not getting, your minus 110, so they are taking a little bit extra there. Minus 113 makes a lot of sense. But with all the injuries that are in that second, in that wide receiver group as well, Brandon Cooks is probably going to have to play a much bigger role. We saw him come up big last week. I think he could probably come up big this week. So I think Blitz is on the right track here. Over 29.5 seems pretty easy. And then we got a couple pretty logical picks coming as well. Zach Charbonnet, if they get in the red zone, Zach Charbonnet is getting in the end zone. It's pretty much how it works out if you're the Seahawks. And then Puka, you brought it up. Blitz also agrees, man. Puka's going to get a lot of targets, a lot of receptions. They're going to have to probably throw the ball as well, because if it gets into a shootout and Caleb starts balling, they're going to have to sling it on the other side as well. I like this. Plus 927 odds. I mean, it's a big one, but I like it.
And that's the thing, is that Puka has been getting 9-10 receptions in these games or more. When they have to start going with the shootout route, the guy that gets the ball more often than not is Puka. The one curiosity is how he's going to perform in this cold weather, but he seems to be good no matter what. It seems to be, regardless of the situation, the stadium, Puka's out there catching those balls. So a big one here from Blitz, giving us 927 odds, but he wants to earn you some more money while we still have the opportunity in the year. So if you feel like dropping this line on a parlay, bet responsibly, but we're here for it.
Oh, yeah, we are. We also got a couple more people in here. Bears fans looking like they're showing up today. Bears stun the Rams. I think it's very much possible. Very, very much possible.
Yep. All right. So we have our divisional round picks for the week. Mike taking Buffalo on the money line. I'm going with the Love My Wife pick, Denver on the money line in our first game today. We both got Seattle winning the game versus San Francisco, that very injured team moving out there to Seattle. It's a tough place to play with the 12. We both have different opinions here on the Houston-New England game. You think that Houston and that defense will keep it close enough where giving Houston the points there will get them the win, or at least you the win on this pick. And I'm going with New England and the vibes. And then Chicago plus the 3.5 points, playing at home, riding on Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams in a bit of a shootout here. Our picks for the week in the divisional round.
Yeah, man. So we disagree on the AFC, agree on the NFC. We'll see how it goes. I would love to go 4-0, go to a 10-0. Honestly, we'll see how it happens, man. I want you to have a good time. I want your wife to be happy as well. But
the fun thing is that she probably doesn't even know that this game is happening today.
You're gonna surprise her. Okay, by the way, the Broncos are on.
By the way, put your fucking jersey on. Be a fan. God.
I will be actively rooting against the Broncos. Listen,
I'm gonna make her. I'm gonna leave here. I'm gonna go make her throw on her Case Keenum Broncos jersey.
Wow!
Her
wow!
Case Keenum kids Broncos jersey. So
wow!
Great.
All right. Hell yeah! I feel it. I feel it. We are going to be tuned in as well. I got some good bets. Actually, I got one bet. Listen, I've been very riding high. I went 6-0 last week. I hit a couple of nice little drive parlays. I don't know if you're into the drive parlays, but man, when you're live betting, there's nothing better than hitting a little three leg single drive parlay, because you can make $120. I had a good week last week. So I'm going to come at the people with a little 4-leg anytime touchdown score. I got crazy with game 1 today. Okay. Give me a Troy Franklin and a Khalil Shakir in the first game. Anytime touchdowns. And then in game 2, Zach Charbonnet, Christian McCaffrey. Those combined will get you plus 5,202 odds. So $10 will pay you $530. That's what I put on it. I'm just going to be completely upfront with you guys. That's what I'm working with. I think this first game is going to get a little wild, because who is guaranteed to score? Well, if James Cook gets shut down, somebody's going to have to find the end zone for Josh Allen.
Could be Josh Allen.
It could be Josh Allen. It very well could be. Listen, I thought that first game I'm gambling. Game 2, I wanted the safe route. But just little extra teaser for the people. But with that, man, I got nothing else. You got anything else for the people before we get out of here?
No, sir. I'm excited to get ready, watch some of these games. I gotta find some fucking time this weekend to take down Christmas lights. I still haven't done it yet. I might have to try to rush go do that before these games start and make sure that the wife is dressed appropriately for her team. But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, we still have lights outside in the backyard or along the fence. Everything else is down. But Amber said that that snow squall is fucking ripping out there right now. So it's probably not happening today. But I'm excited for football because I got nowhere to go. My man, I appreciate you. And to everybody who tuned in today, thank you very much. We appreciate you guys. Time is the most valuable thing that you have. So anytime that you give some of it to us, we are forever grateful. I'm going to give Evo one last word, then we're going to get the fuck out of here until Tuesday when we recap this weekend's games. Evo, take it away.
Last word of the day, bet responsibly. Mike's been banging it out, and he's been getting some really good earnings from this. I have been so this year with my actual betting. Main thing is we love gambling. It's a lot of fun. It makes the games very exciting, and we want you to have that excitement too. But don't go over what you have. Don't put yourself in a bad spot. It's a new year. Don't start yourself in this new year in a bit of a hole. Only bet what you got, or just fake bet. See what you could do if you were possibly throwing some money in, how much you could win, whether or not you'd win. It still makes it fun to see if you were right or wrong on these things. Just make sure to bet responsibly, be safe, and don't put yourself in a bad spot.
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with betting pizza money, guys. You do not have to bet big to enjoy it. By the way, new blog coming out next week about sports betting and gambling. You'll actually get
point shaving, maybe?
Not point shaving. I did not do any of the there's a blog out that I did a few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, about illegal gambling and point shaving. This one is about how to stay in gambling for the long haul. I give you guys some information about myself in there as well. It'll be coming next week, though. That I enjoyed writing. It was a lot of fun. But Evo, very much correct. Gamble responsibly. Guys, thank you very much. I am Mike. That is Evo. This is Raw Dog Sports. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. See ya.